planning to or has filed a civil lawsuit against the mega hotel chain due to a disturbing event that occurred in March of this year, 2023, in a Nashville, Tennessee hotel. These stories hurt because I have family in states such as Tennessee and many other states. I cringe getting calls from relatives that hear some crazy thing that happened near where I live, and every day it seems I'm shaking my head at some odd event that crosses the county scanner newsfeed or some strange story shared, and all you can say is only in Oregon. Probably the same for some of y'all. But anyways, back to the case. This video crossed my feed involving Peter Brennan and this Nashville Hilton's former manager, David Patrick Neal, age 52. There's a lot of background, so please refer to Christina Randall's video in the comments. Like I said, I'm doing the best I can to summarize, but she handled this entire story so gracefully. I highly recommend you watch the video. To start, we have Mr. Brennan, who's both former Air Force and an intelligence officer, travels considerably for work, not a man that's easily shaken. And I'm sure he's seen a lot in his career because he's approximately the age of the accused in this case. But this single event left Brennan so unsettled he flew straight home, and after some thought he felt compelled to act against this chain, to at the very least ensure violations as committed in his case or far worse could be prevented in the future. In filing the suit, he needed to retake his stolen sense of security as well as, preserving that for other people, because millions of people travel for work, and, damages were done. There's some serious tones to this case, even though it's very funny. But the damage was done. There's a known victim, and unfortunately, we're left to question if there's more, and I'm getting to why. And, hopefully somebody will come forward and something positive will come out of this. I hope I'm not zapping all the funny out of this, moving through this so fast, but it's tricky. This is very, very tricky. So trying to summarize it, the best that I can. And Christina's video in the comments, back up, definitely check it out. Again, there's backstory, previous interaction with Brendan and Neal earlier that day. I'm not sure what that has to do with the incident, so I'm just going to go on. Now, it's said that around 5 a.m. the morning of March 29th, 2023, Mr. Brendan was nestled in his bed, fast asleep, replenishing for his workday ahead, when he was abruptly woken, feeling something cold and wet on his foot. To his shock and horror, waking with a scream, knowing he'd gone to bed alone, Mr. Brennan then looked towards the foot of the bed, where he observed the manager, Mr. Neal, engaging in gratifying a not well-known toe fetish. Yes, that poor man woke to another grown man sucking his toes without prior consent or knowledge that this was something that could happen to him. Neal told police he was in the room of Brennan inspecting a complaint of a smoke smell that no one, not even hotel security, could verify for officers later, but that's what he said he was doing. Neal stated that he'd knocked on Mr. Brennan's door, believing that it was the source of the smell, and upon receiving no response, he decided to check on the welfare of the occupant. How do you know anyone was in there at all? He could have said he was, checking for fire in a vacant room, or possibly vacant room. He hadn't checked with security to see if the room was accessed or occupied, so as far as we know, his creepy ass was watching and waiting. Some video or something like that. Now, the basis for the civil case, and it brings me to a later quote from Mr. Brennan, which I'll be leaving for a little food for thought, the Debbie Downer tidbit of this that really breaks the humor. But anyways, how was Neal given a position possibly without a background check, first of all? that he had access to easily clone key cards and enter guest rooms at his discretion, as he obviously had. I ask the same as many have because, yes, Mr. Neal had a rap sheet. There may have been considerations taken with his background upon being hired at Hilton. These charges were old yet significant given the position he had at the hotel, in my opinion. Also, we don't know much about his career with Hilton. He could have worked his way through the ranks and earned their respect and earned their trust. People can and do change. You might ask, what were these previous charges? Forgery, DUI, a murder charge for shooting a former roommate during an argument in 96, which the jury later convicted him of voluntary manslaughter. And again, the 96 case, I don't have any details, other than it was a disagreement and how the jury found. But it's scary considering that he gained access to this guest's room for, and in this case alone, but looking at the former capacity of what, he was capable of. The forgery, for one thing, should have set off alarms with Hilton, given what he had access to as far as computers, offices, files, customer information, credit cards, all of that stuff. Huge red flags. But we don't know if that was looked at or not. And on the other hand, there may have been circumstances not available for public consideration, and we are not his jury. Today, Brennan suffers sleeplessness and PTSD from the incident, and I'm sure cycling the what ifs in his head has been maddening. My biggest question is, how hard does that poor man sleep? I mean, he never heard him come in. And what if this manager had nefarious intent? Still, it could have been worse than having your toes tasted. I mean, in some cases, that could have been more of a joke on Neal if he had uncovered a set of feet that had never heard of a pedicure. So, let's see. Now, closing on a kind of semi-serious note, I'm including a quote from Mr. Peter Brennan as reported by numerous online sources and in the video I've mentioned, linked in the comments numerous times. This was a big case, but I feel needed to be heard, even though it's, I'm presenting it kind of as a funny case. But it's important that these issues are brought forth by Brennan and their legal team for obvious reasons, no matter the humor of the case. This could have gone horribly. I mean, oh my goodness, we've seen the headlines. We know what's in the headlines. And, hopefully Mr. Brennan and his legal team will be able to make positive change for travel consumers. Maybe Mr. Neal can get proper help that, he may need. But I'll leave this with the quote from Mr. Brennan. And here we go. All my life, you just have the sense of security and that sense of peace, right? It's not like you're camping and you have to keep one eye open. You have that security, that's yours. And when you close your eyes, you feel like you're safe and you're protected. And it was a complete violation. I was just so shocked. I concur. So my best advice, you go anywhere that ain't your full-time home, tuck in your feet. You never know who's watching your room.